Hey there, Dave here. I developed a ping script, kind of a basic script for a customer. The customer wanted to be able to ping all the systems on their network in one shot and have the results of the ping get written to two separate log files. So I developed that for them in PowerShell. They wanted it for a Windows-based machine, so I developed it in PowerShell. Pretty basic script. But let's backtrack a little bit, because in most of my books and videos up till now, I've been showing PowerShell 5 or 5.1. And so here's an example of PowerShell 5.1. You got the blue background, it says PS here, and you can find out the exact version by doing a $ PS version table. And that tells us 5.1 here. And you can initiate commands from here and do everything that you'd want to do. For example, a basic ping to say the gateway address on one of my lab networks here. Okay, and we get replies, and that's good. So the basic ping command there. Now, in a lot of my stuff, I also show the integrated scripting environment. And just type ISE to get into that, where you can type commands or invoke things or run scripts or whatever from here, and you can run those and get the results right in the terminal, right in the shell here, and you can add commands here. Now, this is actually deprecated now in favor of Visual Studio Code. One of the problems with this is you can only do Microsoft-based stuff, PowerShell stuff. And what Microsoft did is they did a couple things, actually. One, a ways back, they came out with PowerShell Core, which is what I mostly use, and I recommend you get into. Here's an example of the PowerShell Core shell, and you can see on the top it says PowerShell 6.2.3. Again, we can do a PS version table to find out more information. 6.2.3, but this is Core. So Core works a little bit differently. Core has new commands. It's cross-platform, so you can run it on Linux, and it's open source. So you can run it anywhere, basically. Certain commands may not work that would have worked in the past, and actually the ISE doesn't work anymore. Instead of using the integrated scripting environment, we use Visual Studio Code. So that's what I have here, and I like Visual Studio Code. This is also open source and cross-platform. And so I'm running this on a Windows 10 Pro computer right now, and I'm in my folders. I'm in scripts, I'm in PS scripts for PowerShell, and SuperPing. And inside here I have superping.ps1, and that's what we're looking at right here. That's the script. We know it's a PowerShell script because it's a .ps1. And so let's take a look at the script. Now, I mentioned already, basic ping is great. If you want to do a ping to a system, we can do that. 172.18.0.1 is the gateway. Like we showed before, we get replies. All is good. You could also use the test connection command to do pinging and also to do trace routes. So there's lots of options there. And you can use that programmatically. But if you want to ping a lot of computers at once and then do something with that information, like put it to a log file, output it to a log file, then a script is the best way to go. So I developed this script here. The actual script is a pretty basic script here, and that's the meat of it right there. But let's go through it a little bit, because I don't really show this in my books and videos. Kind of a little beyond the A+, but something really you should know. So here at the top, we've got the $, we have the number sign, which is the symbol we use for comments. And I'm just saying the title here, super duper ping test. We're trying to ping multiple systems with replies and no replies log files. Okay. First thing I do is I set the location. I want to know the path for this particular script and any other files that I might be pointing to or outputting to later. And so I'm defining the path. It's my E drive, scripts folder, PS scripts, and the folder is SuperPing. Okay, we could also look at that here in the terminal. And I really like Visual Studio Code. It kind of has like a JetBrains feel, or the feel of a lot of other contemporary IDEs out there. You've got your editor side here where you can look at your folders and files and lots of other options. You've got your code here, and then you have your terminal at the bottom where you can run your code or do other things. You know, maybe we need to know information about this system. We can do all that from here. And we can go through the folders. So for example, I'm in the scripts folder. You can type dir and see I have a PS scripts folder in here. That's where I might want to go to. Change over to that. And like I say, this is cross-platform, and you have this kind of convergence of commands. So we could use commands that are very Linux-like as well, like ls, and see what's in there. And so here we see the superping. Change over to superping folder, take a look at that one, and we see I have two scripts and a file called computers.txt, and that's the same content here that we see graphically in the Explorer window pane here. And so right now we're looking at this superping.ps1. I've already set this location, so if I refer to this later, it already knows. Now I had to change this location for the customer. It was a little bit different, and you would have to change it as well if you're going to run a script like this. Okay. Let's take a look. Next, we have the variables. I set a couple variables here. First is $ping computers. What does that variable equal? It's a get content command. The alias for that is GC, but I don't really like to use aliases. So get content, and what are we looking for? A file called computers.txt. We know that because it's just in quotes. And we don't have to specify the path because we already know what that path is. And that file indeed is here. This computers.txt file is a basic text file that has all of the computers that we want to ping. Now for this test demo, I just have the localhost 127.0.0.1. This is the computers.txt file. I've got a couple DNS servers, I've got example.com, and I've got some computers that do not really exist. BS computer 1 and 2. Now for the customer, this list was very long. It was like 150 computers or so. And what we did is we placed that list somewhere else where an admin and also a person dealing with that type of work, more of a junior level admin, could access that file and keep it separate from the script. I have it in the script here just for ease of use, but we actually did a separate path for that. And I don't like to list the computers or data inside of the script. It's better to refer to a separate file for that that's in a safe location. Okay. Next, $date. That's the next variable. And for this, we use the getDate command in PowerShell, and we format it. I've got the day, the month, the year, the time, and the offset for the time zone, which I think is -5. In Linux, this would just be, it would be a lot easier to refer to this. It would just be $date, all uppercase. But that's how we do it here. And so I've set these two variables, so we know what these are. Next, I create some files and I write some output to them. I'm using the write output command to write information, start log. And I'm writing that to two different files, replies.log and no replies.log. So the computers that reply in the ping, they're going to get listed in replies.log. The computers that don't show up, that don't reply, they're going to get listed in no replies.log. And I'm basically starting that file here, and I'm just saying start log, and I'm using a tick R for a carriage return, just so we have a new line. Okay. Now you'll see here I have a comment, and I'm saying use file path to specify external location for log files, which is what I did for the customer. Generally, you don't want your log files to show up in the same folder as the script. I'm just doing that to make it easy here. and to keep it a bit simplified. But actually, it was a different path altogether on a different system, and there was authentication involved as well. So it kind of went a little bit further. And generally, you want your log files to be stored in a secure location, something that's not in the script itself, okay, or not in the script folder itself. Now, we get into the for loop and if else statement. That is the meat of this script. So we have a for each loop, and it says here system name, $ system name, which is another variable which I'm specifying here, but essentially it's every system in computers.txt. It's saying $ system name in $ping computers. Well, each system name is an IP address or name in computers.txt. How do we know? Because $ping computers, that was defined up here as computers.txt. That's where we're getting that content for. This is a loop. It's going to go through each system on the list. We got another variable here, $ping status. What is it? Where it's saying it equals get CIM instance. Okay, that's the command in PowerShell. Previously, I would use a command like get GWMI. That's Windows Management Instrumentation. This is the newer and better way to do it, working with COM, and we're just grabbing this. Essentially, we're grabbing this code, this program. This is the core of it right here, win32_ping status. That's what we're grabbing here. That's what we're getting. That's the CIM instance. And that's what's going to take care of doing this ping for us. So we're going to filter this by the address, $system name, which is within ping computers, which is computers.txt. There might be a little bit of a cleaner way to do this and not do so many references, but this was the best way that I could come up with quickly for the customer. And then what are we doing? Select object. Well, the address, we need to know the address. And again, that address is $system name, each item in computers.txt. And we want to know the status code when it runs the ping, when win32 ping status actually runs the ping. Status code is whether you get replies or not. A reply in TCP/IP is -EQ0. Anything else is going to be something different, like can't connect, failed to connect, cannot connect to that host, whatever it's going to be depending on the system you're running on. But in TCP/IP, -EQ0 is replies. So we have our for loop, which is going to go through each of the systems in computer.txt. And for each of those, it's going to run an if-else statement. If $ping status dot status code is -EQ0, okay, which means we get replies, then it'll write that to replies.log. I'm using the out file command to do that, to write that information to replies.log. If anything else happens, we use else for that, then it'll write this information to no replies.log. So I'll repeat that. If we get EQ0, if we get replies, then it'll write $system name is alive to the file replies.log, which we've already started up here with this information. Anything else that happens, it'll say system name is dead, and it'll write that to no replies.log. Now, for the customer, again, we specified a path to this. This was on a different system and a different folder and all that. I'm not doing that here, so really this file path is not necessary because we already know the path. We've specified that up here. Okay, and so it's going to do that for each computer. And if the computer replies, that'll get written to replies.log. If it doesn't reply, it'll get written to no replies.log. And finally, at the end, I just write some additional information here. I've got 2 lines, one for each log file. And I'm writing the information. It was run on this date by this user. That's the variable in Windows to find the username. That's actually logged in currently, and at this particular computer, the computer name, and then it says end log. And it writes that information to there. Again, file path's not necessary in this case, but you'll probably want to do it if you're running a script like this. Also, you'll notice the append option. The append parameter means that every time we run this script, it'll write additional information to the log file so that we have a running history of every time that this was run, when it was run, all that stuff. And that's really what the customer wanted. This way it can be tracked, what was run when, and what computers actually were available at that time. That's it. That is the script. And again, the core of the script is right here. It's this right here, about 9-10 lines of basic code. It's a pretty basic script. Now, we could run this script directly from the terminal. We could do a / and the name of the script, which is superping .ps1. Or if you're in Visual Studio Code, you could run it by doing an F5 or pressing the play button. All right, so let's run it now. Okay, it says PowerShell is going down here. We wait for it to finish. It's done. That was pretty quick. We'll go back to our Explorer, and you'll see that 2 files have been generated in that same folder, replies.log and no replies.log. Let's take a look at those. Replies.log, here it is. Start log. Okay, this computer is alive. This computer is alive. This one's alive. We were able to ping against all of those. Those are the ones that are live. It was run on Monday, 12/16/2019 at 12:14 p.m. Offset 5 hours GMT by my username and my computer name. End log. Done. Well, that's great that those are alive. That's wonderful. But usually what we're going to be more interested in is no replies.log. And so it's great because you can look at all this information right here. And if you want, you can set up a separate folder. You can add a folder into here that has the location of the log files if you want to keep them separate from the script folder, which is a good idea. So we see here in no replies.log, we see BS Computer 1 is dead, BS Computer 2 is dead. Well, those don't really exist. They don't exist on my local area network. And that's it. So that is the script. It ran, it generated the log files, and all is good. Again, like I said, we could run this from the command line as well, from the terminal. We do a / and the name of the script, superping.ps1. Okay, and it's done. Go back to replies, and you'll see it starts a whole new log. Now, actually, for the customer, I put the time and date right next to start log also, so it was a little bit easier to read. But you can see here, it ran it again, and it appended the information. It wrote additional info to the log file for the computers that are alive and for the computers that are unalive. So again, you could run it from the command line. For the person at the company, we just put in a shortcut on their desktop, or you could use the play button, F5, directly from within Visual Studio Code to test it. You know, you can test it this way if you're a developer or whatever. So that is the script, and it took a couple hours to get it to look all nicey nice. The actual script itself didn't take that long to make. I think I spent more time trying to make it look nice with this information here and this information here, to be honest with you. So this is a basic script that just does all the pings for you. Now, the customer also wanted a simplified version, and I'm calling this superping 2 to the terminal. So this is a quick and dirty ping of multiple systems with results in the terminal. So you get the results right here. Now with this, it's not as secure. You can't use the information later on. You can't view the information later on. It's just going to write it to the terminal and then it's done. So it's essentially the same for each loop and if-else statement. The difference here is I'm using write host instead of write output. Write output, we're talking about going to a file for the results. Write host writes it to the terminal. Now, write host is fine for a quick and dirty internal test, but it may not be the most secure, especially in the future. And you can't really get much information from it. And if you want to work with it programmatically, you can't really do anything. So you might want to consider using write verbose instead. But write host is fine for just the quick and dirty test. And that's what we have here. So it's going to grab the information from the same computers.txt file. It's essentially the same script. It's just going to write the info here. So let's run it now. All right, and it's writing that these are alive and these ones are dead, and end of super ping. Done. That's it. That's the other version. And so I just used some foreground colors for the different scripts here just to make it fun and easy to read. But that's the quick and dirty one. But really what we're more interested in here was that full-blown thing, this full-blown script that'll write the information to log files. So that's the script. Now, one thing you want to remember also is security. If you're going to have a script like this, make sure, one, you have permission to run it. And two, if you want to work with this and just learn how it works, make sure you're doing it on a test network with systems that that are test systems that don't have any data that you want to keep. Basically that's the rule with any scripting if you're going to test with it. And also in the field, remember to secure your scripts, digitally sign them, save them in secure locations, and so on. So you got to be real careful with scripting. But I just wanted to show a basic ping script for all of you that have looked into my books and videos and stuff. And really, get into how PowerShell Core, I don't cover it that much in my books and videos to this point, and also Visual Studio Code or VSC. Okay, so check out those tools and feel free to grab this script. I've got it on GitHub if you want to download the repo for it. So check it out, and that's about it for this video. Happy scripting to you.